Whenever you look at Main Street in other cities, they did not feel the connection with their Main Street that other cities show that they have. So I knew right off the bat there was a couple changes that needed to be made because one, Main Street thrives around supporting small businesses, driving business to a downtown area. We love our downtown. What can we do to make it better? I want to bring more events. I want to make it a more happening place, not only for people like us to come and, go to dinner, go out, see a band, but families to come in.
Welcome back to another refreshing episode of Bottled Up. I'm your host, Andrew Allen, and today we're exploring the vibrant revitalization of downtown Gulfport with a remarkable leader at the helm. Our guest today is Kristen Garriga, the dynamic executive director of Gulfport Main Street Association. Kristen's journey from volunteering to support local businesses during COVID to steering downtown development initiatives has been nothing short of inspiring. Kristen has been instrumental in transforming Gulfport's downtown area into a bustling hub of activity and growth. In this episode, Kristen sheds light on the strategic steps taken to bridge the gap between local businesses and the community, the importance of creating an engaging downtown environment, and shares her vision for future projects that aim to make Gulfport a destination for all. We'll also hear about her impressive efforts to attract investors, the strategy behind successful events like View the Cruise, the Sunset Closeout Concert, and the annual Gumbo Fest, as well as her plans for new concert series and market tours. So sit back, pop open a Pepsi, and let's hear how one woman's passion is transforming her hometown, bringing prospects and vibrancy back to the heart of Gulfport. Welcome to another episode of Bottled Up. Today we have a special guest, Miss Kristen Garriga, the Executive Director of the Gulfport Main Street Association. Kristen, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank y'all for having me. We're super excited that y'all asked us to be part of this.
Absolutely. So, Kristen, I wanted to kind of go into a little bit of your history on the coast and how you became the Executive Director of the Gulfport Main Street Association. So let's start off with, where did you grow up, Kristen?
So I have lived on the coast my entire life. I've grown up in Bay St. Louis, attended Our Lady Academy, and from there attended Pearl River Community College. And right after, I started working for Dr. Christopher Frigo as a chairside assistant and a marketing role in marketing director at his office in 2010.
Okay.
And was there for 8 years. I loved it, but wanted more of a flexible schedule. I was getting ready to have my second child, and I loved the marketing aspect. I do still today, I do miss the patient aspect and the patient connections. But if it wasn't for working there, and the one thing a lot of people don't know about Dr. Frigo is he is constantly pushing his employees to learn more. And that's one thing that I've loved. I love learning. I love conventions. I love going to any type of meeting or continuing education that I can get my hands on. And anytime I had a chance, I was taking another type of marketing class at any convention we went to. And in 2018, I had decided that I kind of wanted to take a step back from the ortho world and really focus on marketing. And we actually had a patient there at the time who owned a real estate company. And I'd worked with her on a couple community events, and I kind of confided in her and said, I'm considering a change in career. And she asked me to go to lunch with her. And about 2 weeks later, and she said, look, I don't know if the pay would be competitive, but I would really like you to come in and do all of the marketing for our real estate company. And I remember going home, talking to my husband about it and saying, I think I want to do this, even though at the time it was kind of a pay cut.
Yeah.
I was like, it would give me the flexibility with the kids, and the rest was history. I left Frigo's in 2018, went into real estate marketing. And then, of course, we had COVID. COVID kind of did a number on a lot of companies and a lot of businesses. And I had a lot of friends who did not have a strong web presence with their businesses and boutiques. And I had more and more agents reaching out to me because we know COVID shut down the rest of the world, but real estate was booming.
Yeah, it was. It was a wild, that was a really wild time for businesses that you wouldn't expect to increase. And it all makes sense looking back in hindsight, but businesses that you wouldn't expect to do well thrived in that environment.
I mean, I had agents calling me saying, "Hey, I need a 3D tour of this home. I need a video tour of this home for this potential client." And we had clients buying houses sight unseen just from the virtual tours that I was putting together. And so I got really, really busy during COVID doing a lot of marketing for real estate. But then I had friends that were reaching out to me saying, "I really need help." And so we would, honestly start from the ground, start from scratch. We'd have to put together their social pages, their Facebook pages, their websites. And I know I have two friends who started out with small brick and mortar boutiques. And when everything was lifted, they were opening their second and third locations.
Kristen, let me ask you a question real quick about that. So it sounds to me, off the top of your head, how many separate companies or businesses did you stand up socially online from scratch? I mean, more than 10?
Yes.
So for anyone out there who is listening to this, who is thinking, and thinking that they want to try to create a better or even create an online presence that they don't even have, what would be the first thing that you would recommend them do?
Start with their sphere first. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't want to bother my friends. They're going to think I'm soliciting." And I'm like, "You're not soliciting. You're just asking them to share your business page and invite
So,
their friends to your business
so
page."
it would basically just be like word of mouth marketing, like grassroots word of mouth marketing.
Yes.
Well, one of the things that I know that we had to do is if you're going to have an online presence, you have to have a landing page that is worth its salt, So our website was highly outdated when I took over, and that was the first thing we did. Is I said, all right, we need to completely scrap the old website and create a new one that has all the information that everybody would need. So would that be probably a logical first step?
Yes. Having somewhere for them to go to grab information on either the product you're selling or the business that you're selling, you need a landing page. And I have honestly witnessed a lot of businesses start their landing pages with their Facebook pages, with their social pages, and then grow into, and I mean, this is really talking about boutiques, but grow into a Shopify account and then a Shopify page, and then grow into a larger scale web page.
Going back to you going to OLA, what year did you graduate OLA?
2006.
Okay. Did you know Grace Allen?
I did. She was a couple years ahead of me, but we actually had art class and we cheered together. I think she was a cheerleader with me.
Yeah. Yeah, she was at OLA as well. That's my older sister. So, yeah, that's I spent a lot of time over at volleyball games over there.
They still have they're still going strong with their volleyball championship heritage line, as I call it. I mean, they're still state champs.
I can't believe that considering, I mean, you're talking about a small private school in Bay St. Louis is like destroying state, like giant state academies like Jackson and all and places up there. It's kind of incredible to think about.
It really is. And they have such a great athletic program. I mean, even the soccer, same thing, has crushed state championships year after year. They have such a good, well-rounded group of coaches. And actually, their coach this year, I think, actually played with your sister, Emily Corley. She was Emily Myers.
Yep. I know Emily.
Yeah, she's still the volleyball coach there, and she loved OLA, and they were so excited whenever she came back. My daughter's actually at OLA now; she's a sophomore there.
Oh, wow. Good. That's great. Yeah, it's a great school. And it is very interesting that a small little school like that can have that much success when it comes to state athletics.
I agree.
So back to creating social media pages for people during COVID. So were you doing this on your own time? Like you were
I was.
basically, okay, so how are you handling that as far as payment, or were you just volunteering your time and effort?
A lot of them I volunteered because luckily during that time my company did not furlough me because during that time real estate agents were considered essential, which still was crazy to me with with all the shutdowns. But
It's the
I was
rates.
very
It was the
fortunate.
rates.
It was right.
I
I was very
mean,
fortunate, and so I was not furloughed. And then I had some that would, they were like, you need to form an LLC. You need to form an LLC so we can pay you. And so I did. I formed an LLC, and I mean, was very minimum because a lot of them were friends of mine, and a lot of them were people who I knew from the Chamber of Commerce, and I did not want to see them shut their doors. So I would just help any way I could. And that's kind of how I got mixed and mingled with Main Street, to be very honest with you. I attended right after all of the shutdown stopped. They actually had a Main Street membership drive event at Downtown Bistro. And one of the girls who was on the Main Street board was a friend of mine. She asked me to come, and I was like, absolutely. We were on chamber boards together for years. I was very involved with the chamber the whole time I was with Frigo Orthodontics, but then especially when I went into real estate marketing with Berkshire Hathaway, we were very involved with Chamber Champs. And then I sat on the board for the Mississippi Gulf Coast Chamber of Commerce. So I attended this event and I walked up to Jennifer Lee, who was the reigning president at the time. And I was like, I want to become more involved with Main Street. I love what it does to promote our downtown. I love, the idea of Main Street bringing new business to the downtown area and making it a more eventful place. I mean, Andrew, you may remember when we were younger, downtown Gulfport was the place to be.
yeah, I was going to get into that a little bit. I remember there was a time period, I'd say from '09 to 15, where this is all pre-kids
Right.
for me. So I was probably just married, still no kids. And I didn't have children until my wife and I had been married probably around 4 years before we had our first child. So within that 4 years, yeah, you're right. We were in downtown Gulfport going from one spot to the next. And I mean, you basically, it was like a high school reunion every night.
It really was. I had my oldest at the time, but we would get a sitter. And I mean, you would go to the quarters, then you would go to Kelly's,
Yep.
and it
And
was
then
it was such
everybody'd end up at EO's.
and then you would end up at EO's at the end of the night. It was such a fun environment. And I remember coming back into downtown and it was like, man, the quarter's no longer there. Kelly's is still there.
Incredible.
It being
Rooney's is still there, isn't it?
Rooney's is still there. Yes, Rooney's is still there. And I just remember it being a different vibe and not a bad way, but it's more of a business district vibe now.
Right.
And I was like, I would love to get this back to an eventful happening downtown. And so I walked up to Jennifer Lee and I said, hey, I would love to get more involved with Main Street. And she was like, let's have lunch. And I said, okay, well, we had lunch. We're both on the chamber board. We kept in touch. I ran into her again, the Christmas social for the chamber. This was back in December of 2022. And I said, hey, I never heard any more after we had lunch. What's going on? Like, what's the plans with Main Street for the next year? I'd love to get some events on my calendar. That way I make sure that I'm attending and can get involved. Let me know when y'all have board applications come up. And she said, it's funny you should mention that. And I said, okay. She said, sit down. I said, okay. She said, Lori Toots, which was the director, was retiring. And I was like, okay. She said, I heard, and well, back up a little bit. I had decided that I was going to go off on my own and do real estate marketing for not only Berkshire Hathaway. I had talked to them and told them, hey, I think I want to go off on my own with my LLC and do a small more marketing consulting company. And I was like, I appreciate everything y'all have done for me, but I think this is the right move that I need to make. And I really was going off my own, not knowing what was going to happen. Well,
Yeah,
they said, hey, we would
that
love to do this.
takes a lot of bravery to do that because it's unknown.
I mean, at the time I knew I had like three clients who would pay me maybe $500 a month. And I was like, I can definitely build up from this, but something's telling me this is the right way to go. And so I talked to Berkshire Hathaway and they said, okay, look, we'll be your client instead of you being an employee. And I was like, okay, absolutely. Well, so she said, I heard you're going off on your own. I said, I am. And she goes, how deep do you plan on going into that? And I was like, that's, it's kind of a bit of unknown right now. And I said, why? And she said, Lori Toops is retiring. And I said, okay. She said, your name has come up from a couple of people. We're looking for a new director. And I said, okay. So we talked a little bit about it. And I was like, well, what does it even pay? She goes, well, honestly, I can't even tell you because Lori's position was a city position. And when she retires, we are going to separate Main Street from the city. It's no longer going to be a city funded position. The city will partner with us, but you're not going to be a city employee, this and that. You won't have X, Y, and Z that Lori had. And I said, okay. She said, just think it over. We'll go to lunch. We'll talk about it. Well, I met with Leonard Papena and Mayor Hughes and Jennifer about a week later. And at that time, I had done my research. I'd talked to a couple of businesses in downtown Gulfport just to see,
what you kind of test the pulse.
I did. I kind of like tested, okay, what is your intake on Main Street? What's been your experience with Main Street as a business?
What kind of intel were you getting from the people who were in downtown Gulfport? What were they saying?
They didn't, whenever you look at Main Street in other cities, they did not feel the connection with their Main Street that other cities show that they have. So I knew right off the bat, there was a couple changes that needed to be made because one, Main Street thrives around supporting small businesses,
right?
Driving business to a downtown area. So I knew it was going to be a challenge. One of my dear friends who owns a business in downtown Gulfport, she was one of my very first calls. And if you know Danielle White with Quality, she's very opinionated. And so I said something about Main Street and she kind of gave me a little huff. And I was like, she says, why are you asking? I said, Danielle, I'm considering taking over Main Street. And she said, do what? And I said, I'm considering taking over Main Street. I said, it was kind of brought to the table and I'm kind of testing the waters to see what I think I want to do. And at that moment, when she was like, well, I don't know. And I said, nope, just from you don't know. I was like, this is what I want to do because I want to, one, completely turn around the idea of Main Street with everybody in the downtown area and every business in downtown Gulfport. I want it to become a collaborative, we love our downtown. What can we do to make it better? I want to bring more events. I want to make it a more happening place, not only for people like us to come and, go to dinner, go out, see a band, but families to come in.
Right.
Make it a place where people want to come to visit, make it a tourist attraction. We have some of the biggest events on the Gulf Coast in Gulfport. We have Harbor Lights. We have View the Cruise. View the Cruise is the most, one of the biggest attended events in the week of Cruising the Coast. And then we put on the closeout concert, which is, again, one of the biggest attended events that entire week. And it all takes place in downtown. And
let me ask you a question. How long has Main Street been around?
2006.
Okay.
Mississippi Main Street's been around for 40 years. But Gulfport Main Street has been around since 2006. They became a designated community with Mississippi Main Street.
Okay. So that kind of gives me a little bit of a timeline of what we're looking at. So we're looking at like 18 years.
Yes.
Got it. That's a fair amount of time.
Yes.
For something to be around. So in that 18 years, I imagine there's been ups and downs. So you taking over after someone how long did the lady, what was her name, who was running it before you?
Oh, I don't know. Because Main Street actually started with Lisa Bradley. And then I think Lisa just got it off the ground. And I believe she went to Ingalls. And then Lori had taken over right after Lisa. And Lori had it since, she was probably 8 or 9 years was the executive director.
So she basically, you had someone who created it and then kind of handed it off to Lori, and then Lori basically developed it to where it was 8 years later, and then now you've had it for how long have you been the executive director?
A year and a half, going on 2 years in January.
Okay. So in that time that Lori had it, it grew and then it grew into, like we were talking about how we were always in it out and promoting business, but that was more of a nightlife kind of party atmosphere. What you're talking about doing is not that.
No, I mean, we want that as well, but we want it to be all around daytime. We want to drive businesses to want to come to downtown Gulfport. I mean, I have a lot of vacant properties that have been sitting vacant since Katrina. I mean, you can see that when you come to downtown.
Is it the insurance?
I think a lot of it has to do with insurance. A lot of it has to do with the buildings have sat for so long that some of them just need a lot of money to
Right. The initial investment to get in
initial
would be
investment
high.
to get something. Yes. And then we've had a lot of businesses, unfortunately, one of our staple businesses in downtown has closed in the past 2 years, and that was Triplet Day. I
Yep.
do know they are working, that building was purchased and they are working. They have not yet to say what's coming there, but they're working on Triplet Day now and are bringing a business to that corner. So we're super excited. Same thing about the corner, right across the street where Perks Coffee used to be. It was purchased by a bank. And so there'll be another bank right there on that corner.
If you go down there now, just like you said, it seems as if it's catering to the local businesses around there as like lunch spots. And then you have some really good dinner spots down there, between the Rack House and Half Shell. And, there's a lot of good food down there. So what would be your 5-year plan moving forward for the Main Street Association? Like in 5 years from now, if you could look back and say, hey, listen, I'm really proud of what we did. What do you think your 5-year plan would be?
We would have more retail. We would have
Yeah.
more of a residential aspect. And we need a hotel. Like we need a standing. I know they're working on the Markham. I'm super excited that Austin Summerall is bringing in this boutique hotel and restaurant, actually literally right on the side of my office, Hotel Villa. And then the Serene Social Club will be at the bottom floor of that. But we need a hotel aspect. We need some condos. Because you think about the kind of person that wants to live in downtown is that younger generation. They want to
Yeah.
be, they can walk everywhere.
Yeah.
Um,
they want to have an apartment
yeah,
above,
above a
above
bar
somewhere, above
or,
a bar where they can, yeah, you're 100% correct on that.
and so we're really pushing to get some more retail, because they want to shop. I mean, I need a grocery store. The closest place or a bodega, the closest place you can get like milk, eggs, anything is the Walmart on 49. And so people who do live downtown, because we have a couple of apartments throughout downtown, but not that many, they have to go all the way up 49 just to get their groceries or have it delivered. But I mean, think about the convenience if you had a bodega and meat market right on the corner.
Oh,
You can,
absolutely. I think that's one of the things that we kind of have to like change a cult. There needs to be a community like reset mind change on if someone opened up downtown, people would have to rally around that business and help keep it open because everything's
correct.
so expensive nowadays that, you open up a mom and pop bodega like that, you need people who are willing to go in and shop there, not
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
people on their lunch break coming in and grabbing a sandwich. Like you need like pretty big, heavy baskets running through there to help keep them open.
So one of the things that I've done within the past year is I applied for an RCDI grant, through Mississippi Main Street. And what it did was it gave us the funds to bring in a national real estate consultant. And we brought in Joe Borstrom, who is the head consultant for Place in Maine. And he came and did a whole entire market analysis on our downtown. I gave him 4 different properties that I would love to see something come into within the next year. And he did performance on those properties. And these are vacant properties. So we sat down with the owners and the real estate agents and said, okay, in order for you to make money with this building, it needs to be priced at X, Y, and Z.
That was a
And,
smart move.
and here we have, this is what your downtown is lacking. So what they did was they actually pull a lot of cell phone data from people who are in the area for longer than like 2.5 hours. And it kind of tracks what they're leaving our area to. We lose over $3 million to Bay St. Louis and Ocean Springs like quarterly. And it's because they're going over there for, you know, the arts festivals and to shop because they have all the retail spots.
Yep.
So it showed us what we're lacking. And what I was really honestly shocked to see is we lose so many people going to shop for home decor. When he told me that, I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, I don't think of home decor whenever I think of going out shopping. But so I actually have that entire market analysis on my website for anyone to see.
So, Kristen, with this data that you have now, bringing a consultant in and looking at it, how then do you reach out to the right folks who are looking for a spot, who happen to want to take that leap, who have the knowledge that they want to open up, let's say, a home decor shop in downtown Gulfport? How do you reach those people?
So I've met with my local real estate agents and brokers, but also on June 6th, just a couple months ago, we hosted our first commercial possibilities tour. And what I did was I took all 25 vacant properties. Now, it's not 25 buildings. We do have a lot of land that's vacant as well. But we toured, we put out basically like a call for investors and stakeholders. And we had over 49 investors and stakeholders come into the area and tour these properties. And Mississippi Power sponsored it. We had a networking event. So we invited, the city officials out to come and speak with these investors as well as other business owners. And then we loaded up a CTA bus and we toured all 25 properties. And it took a couple hours, but it was great. We've actually since then, we've had about 4 that have gone under contract from those investors.
Well, that's great.
So it was a very successful event, and we're doing a phase 2 of that possibilities tour on August 28th, which is next Wednesday.
What's what's gonna happen in phase 2?
So phase 2, we are actually going to tour 5 other properties that have since come on the market or they're getting ready to come on the market. And then also a couple of the investors that were on that tour have mentioned they would like to see a couple of the buildings again that we showcased. So we will showcase a couple of those buildings once again. Those agents who have those properties listed are invited, and they actually come in and they give us the entire tour of the building. So the agents who have the listings are involved as well. And we're also going to see, and we get a sneak peek of Hotel Villa and then the new Tavi's restaurant that is coming in downtown. And I really wanted the Arzolas to speak at this and kind of give us an insight and a first look at Tavi's, because they have taken 2 businesses, strictly opening them and starting them from the ground up in downtown. And so they started Pot Brothers in a small little area right just north of the tracks, and has done so well. And she has locations in every city along the Gulf Coast. But downtown Gulfport has always been their starting spot. And when they were getting ready to open, they knew they wanted to do this sandwich bistro cafe. And we were so excited that they wanted to stick to downtown. And so she's going to kind of speak. Well, both of them will kind of speak and give their insights on what it's been opening 2 businesses, how it's been opening 2 businesses in downtown Gulfport.
That's great. I think that everything that you're talking about as far as, revitalizing downtown, I think you're headed in the right direction. You're kind of showcasing the results of what it's like to work and own a business downtown, then also enticing people to come in. How many of these investors are out of state?
I think at the last one we had maybe 12 that were out of state.
Yeah, I can see how Bay St. Louis, they tend to have a lot of New Orleans.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Airbnbs over there are really hot right now. I mean, that downtown Bay St. Louis area is just blowing up.
It is.
So I think, just looking at the successes around us with our sister cities that are all around us is probably a good idea to start there, like you are. But you got a sound concept, Kristen. I think that you're headed in the right direction. It's just going to be a grind, And I know you're probably expecting that.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much potential. There really is. And we just have to find, the right people who see the potential. And the one thing that we're finding is a lot of these investors who are like coming down for the second phase are investors who have invested in other downtown areas. And they specifically only invest in downtown areas,
Okay.
which I
Well, that's
love.
well, that's good. I mean, at least you're hitting the mark, right?
Right.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the events that the Gulfport Main Street Association does. How many events do you guys hold annually right now?
Right now, we hold four annually.
Okay, let's walk the listener a little bit through each one of those events and what those events are.
So right now it's starting in the spring, we have arts and antiques in the alley. And it's specifically when the weather starts feeling great. It's usually around April. I say feeling great, sometimes April can be scorching hot like it was this year, but
Yeah, we get a lot. I mean, it's I don't
it's hit
even
or
know what
miss.
cold weather feels like, honestly.
But we open it up to artists and antique vendors, and we really focus it around Fishbone Alley. And if you're not familiar with Gulfport, Fishbone Alley is an alley that Main Street in the city of Gulfport took and just revitalized into an art alley, basically. You walk down and there's art on every single brick in the alley. That was done before I ever came along. That was one of Lori's biggest and most successful projects, and it still gets talked about and has won many awards with Mississippi Main Street. And so at one time, this was also before COVID, they would have, bands in the alley. And then when COVID hit, that all kind of drew to an end, but we're really trying to get that kicked back up with arts in the alley. We always have a band, or, one or two. And then it's just basically like a street fair. You come in, we have local vendors, we have vendors from out of town, we have antique vendors, art vendors, and it's just a great time to walk around downtown Gulfport, shop the shops that are here, eat the delicious food, and just enjoy the downtown area on a beautiful day.
Good deal. So that's your spring event. What's the next one that you have?
The next one is View the Cruise, and View the Cruise is a monster of its own. View the Cruise is the Sunday that kicks off Cruising the Coast.
Yep.
Has over 20,000 people attend every single year. Really, it kicks off. We close the streets to all cars except classic cruisers at 6 a.m. We then block the streets to cruisers at 11:30. Last year, we were at capacity and we even extended our footprint. We blocked the streets at 9:30 and we were like, look, it's one in, one out. You do not have to be a registered cruiser to come to this event because it's solely a Gulfport Main Street event. Cruising the Coast does partner. They bring in their cruising trailers to sell their merchandise. And Woody Bailey puts this one on his calendar, but that's a lot of people do not understand. It's actually a city of Gulfport and Gulfport Main Street event.
Yep.
And then right after that, just 5 days later, we have our sunset closeout concert. And we bring in a local band and a band. Like this year, we're super excited about it. We have the local band Ghost of Gamblers, which is Carrie Lane and John Carter's band. And if you do not know, both Carrie Lane and John Carter both were on The Voice and competed on The Voice. And they've formed this band and they're phenomenal. So we're super excited to have them. They're definitely our local favorite band. And then we also have we're ending the night with a high energy band called Pop Fiction. We're super excited. They bring in all the lights, the neon colors, and they draw a crowd. I think they've played Neptune a couple times. They've played Floribama, Brewskis. We were super excited that they had our date open. I will say that. And this concert brings in honestly hundreds, I honestly think a couple thousand in for the closeout night. We close out the street right at Chandelier Brewing Company. We have the stage set up in the middle of the street. We close off 14th and it is just packed.
That's great.
It's a great night. It's one of my favorites. And then
Well, we're going to be involved with that this year, so I'm glad that.
I'm so excited. So y'all are our title sponsor for the Sunset concert. And we could not be more excited about that.
Yeah, we're excited about it too. We if there's anything that you think we need to do to make it over the top, let me know.
Absolutely. And then right after sunset, we fall into Gumbo Fest. Gumbo Fest is this is its third year. It is centered around Centennial Plaza. And we have last year we had 28 gumbo teams that competed for best gumbo on the coast. But then aside from those 28 teams, every city's mayor puts in a team and they have what they call the Mayor's Cup. And they compete to see which team and which mayor has the best gumbo on the
That's
coast.
cool. I like that.
And it's cash prizes. Of course, the Mayor's Cup is just bragging rights and they get a big old trophy.
Who won last year?
Gulfport.
Good.
Yeah, Gulfport. It's so funny because all the mayors start trash talking.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
As one does.
so we just posted all the save the dates and sent out the save the dates for the mayors, and it's already started. Like we're getting emails like from all the mayors trash talking back and forth. So it's a fun event.
Yeah.
And then
I think that's good fellowship between the cities.
it really is. And the very first year we had it, it was like freezing cold and like almost sleeting rain. Last year it was burning up and it was hot. But last year we had Rock and Doopsy was the band that played. It was a lot of fun. This year we have the Daywalkers, which is a great Zydeco band that takes Zydeco mixed in with nowadays music. They are just so much fun to listen to. So we're super excited to have them as our headliner for Gumbo Fest this year. And then we're working on bringing in a celebrity cup. Right now, a lot of the TikTok followers, TikTok's gotten huge with cooking. All these, I call them chefs, but Matthew Bounds, who, is local, he is a huge TikTok phenomenon. Your barefoot neighbor. He's like, I'm not a chef. And I'm like, well, you put together recipes and you have a couple cookbooks, and I think you are.
Yeah, I mean, you might not be classically trained with a
Yeah.
degree, but you're kind of making money off of making food. So,
Oh, he is.
yeah,
And what I love about Matthew is he has such a big heart, giving heart. Right now, he's doing a big push to supply 40 beds to Elijah's Closet to go to foster care children. So it's 40 beds for a year. And so we're
that's
working with
fantastic.
him. He may be a celebrity. We may do a celebrity cup if we can get a couple other TikTok creators, content creators to come and cook against each other.
Are there any other events on your radar on the horizon that you're trying to put out?
So we not after Gumbo Fest, we have Mistletoe in Main Street, which is our Christmas event, which will coincide with the Gulfport Christmas parade. And so the Christmas parade, of course, leads right on into Harbor Lights. So we're super excited about that. But I do have in the works for next year a spring/summer concert series that I'm trying to get started in downtown Gulfport. And what it would be, it's almost like if you're familiar with Hattiesburg, they have Live at 5, where on every other Friday night, they have a live band in downtown. Basically, it's a big old block party every Friday night.
It's a cool concept.
Yes, I'm trying to get that same concept and energy and event going in downtown. So I've
Well,
applied for a couple of grants for that, but that's what we're really
how long does it to normally take to get a grant back on whether or not it's been given?
It depends whether like when the cutoff date is. Like the grant that I applied for, the cutoff date, like for people to apply for that grant is October 30th. So we'll probably know about December, but either way, we're working with some of our members for Main Street for sponsorships. So we are going to plan to do a spring and summer concert series.
That sounds great, Kristen. Well, I think that when you had that lunch and you decided to take the role as the executive director, you made the right call because you have a knack and you have the passion for the area. And I think they made the right decision in bringing you on. So I'm excited to know that there's somebody who's in charge of a very special area of our city that we call home, who is focused on making sure that it's sustainable and that it brings people in.
Well, thank you.
So that if there's anything that we can do to help here at Allen Beverages, that we're willing to help out. So
Absolutely.
just let me know if there's anything that we can do, and I'm excited that we're able to at least partner with the Sunset Series, the Sunset Concert, at least this year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We look forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, Kristen, I appreciate the time of you walking us through the history of the Main Street Association and a little bit of what's in the works for downtown Gulfport as a whole. I think that hopefully we can get some more investors down there and get that retail situation handled. And I'm excited to see what pops up over the next 5 years because it sounds like it's going to be big.
Well, that's what we're pushing towards. So I definitely see some growth coming.
That's great. Well, Kristen, thank you for your time today. And if anybody wants to get involved or look at these events that are coming up for the Main Street Association, where would someone go to see all this?
So, of course, follow us on Facebook for Gulfport at the Gulfport Main Street Association, but also our website is www.downtowngulfport.org.
Okay, fantastic. Is there anything else that you would want to kind of talk about or discuss?
Honestly, we would love feedback on what people would like to see in downtown Gulfport.
How would someone get that feedback to you, Kristen?
On our website, we actually have a comment section, and it comes straight to my email. If you're interested in investing in downtown or want to know more information about a certain property or have questions about the market analysis, please feel free to email me. My email is director@downtowngulfport.org. But I would love some feedback on what people would like to see, what type of shops, what type of, we have a lot of sit down at restaurants. We know we need some more grab and go. We do have a concept that is kind of being worked in that area for something that's more of a quick grab and go.
Yeah.
Kind of like a food hall, like indoor food truck. So we do have that concept that's being worked and thrown around at the moment. But we want to know what people want to see in downtown Gulfport because we'd love to try to make that happen.
All right. Anybody listening who wants to get involved with downtown Gulfport, Mississippi, just go ahead and reach out to where Kristen told you to, and let's see what we can get cooking.
All right. Thank you, Andrew.
All right. Thanks, Kristen. And that wraps up another episode of Bottled Up. A huge thank you to Kristen Garriga for sharing her inspiring journey and visionary plans for revitalizing downtown Gulfport. It's clear that her dedication and passion are making a significant impact on our community. Remember, you can stay updated on all the exciting events and initiatives by visiting the Gulfport Main Streets Association's Facebook page or our website at www.downtowngulfport.org. Your feedback and suggestions are invaluable, so don't hesitate to reach out directly to Kristen at director@downtowngulfport.org with your ideas and thoughts. Together, we can continue supporting the positive changes in our growing community. A big thank you to all our listeners for tuning in. At Bottled Up, we're all about uncorking the stories that shape our coastal home. And remember to always support our local businesses, restaurants, and events. Cheers. Thanks for listening to the Bottled Up podcast. Want us to deliver this show to your email inbox as they drop? Want to tell us about how you like the show? Or do you want to tell us about a Gulf Coast business or restaurant that you'd like for us to spotlight in any upcoming episodes? Email Morgan Wheeler at mwheeler, MWHEELER @abevinc.com. That's ABEVINC.com. Want to know more about Allen Beverages and how we work with our clients, partners, and vendors? Check out allenbeverages.com. This show was edited and produced by Johnny Gwynn and Deep Fried Studios.